It is exactly 6 a.m. You wake up, peel your dry tongue off the roof of your mouth, and swallow hard. Your oral cavity feels like coarse sandpaper. There is a distinct, metallic, and aggressively bitter taste lingering on your palate, and your breath carries the faint but undeniable odor of rotting sulfur. Your immediate instinct is to rush to the bathroom and brush your teeth, but pause for a single second. Think about last night. You stood in front of that very same bathroom mirror. You applied a thick, heavy stripe of bright blue paste to your nylon bristles. You brushed meticulously for 2 full minutes, ensuring every surface was scrubbed until your mouth was overflowing with a dense, thick, white foam. You spit, rinsed with tap water, and felt that highly satisfying, squeaky clean sensation. Listen closely to this biological reality. That foam and that exact squeaky clean feeling is the precise, scientifically documented reason your mouth smells like decaying sulfur right now. It is also the exact mechanical reason your teeth are progressively turning a dull, yellowish gray hue, no matter how aggressively you scrub them. The primary culprit behind this daily destruction is not a lack of personal hygiene. It is a highly aggressive synthetic chemical called sodium lauryl sulfate, commonly referred to as SLS. SLS is an industrial foaming agent. It is the exact same synthetic surfactant and detergent utilized in heavy-duty engine degreasers, garage floor chemical cleaners, and commercial dishwashing liquids. Its singular, engineered purpose is to create massive amounts of suds and rapidly break down stubborn oils. When you introduce this aggressive, industrial-grade surfactant into your delicate oral cavity, it does exactly what it was chemically engineered to do on a greasy frying pan. It violently strips away lipids. But inside your mouth, those lipids are not dirt. They are not impurities. They are the microscopic essential protective mucosal barrier, specifically known as the stratified squamous epithelium, that tirelessly shields your gums, your tongue, and the highly vulnerable enamel of your teeth from external pathogens. Imagine taking a harsh, corrosive chemical solvent and scrubbing a beautifully polished, sealed hardwood floor with it every single night before bed. Eventually, the protective sealant wears off entirely, leaving the raw, untreated wood exposed, vulnerable, and highly porous. That is the exact anatomical equivalent of what SLS does to your tooth enamel. Under a high-powered electron microscope, your teeth are not the solid, impenetrable blocks of white bone they appear to be. They are actually composed of millions of microscopic, hollow channels known as dentinal tubules. These tubules run directly from the outer enamel deep into the living, nerve-filled pulp of your tooth. In a healthy, undisturbed mouth, these tubules are sealed tight by a microscopic lipid protein layer called the acquired pellicle. When the acquired pellicle and the protective lipid barrier are systematically obliterated by industrial foam twice a day, these dentinal tubules are violently forced open. They are left entirely exposed to the oral environment. They effectively become microscopic biological sponges. Every single cup of dark roasted coffee, every glass of red wine, every blueberry, and every drop of soy sauce you consume gets sucked directly into the porous, unprotected core of your tooth structure. Your teeth are not inherently turning yellow from age. They are simply stripped naked. They are actively absorbing the heavy pigments of your daily diet deep into their core simply because you chemically removed their only natural biological shield. Furthermore, this chemical stripping is the direct cause of your sudden, agonizing tooth sensitivity. When those dentinal tubules are blasted open by SLS, microscopic shifts in fluid occur inside the tooth every time you drink ice water or breathe in cold air. This fluid movement strikes the pulp nerve directly, sending a sharp shock wave of pain straight into your jaw. You think you need a special toothpaste for sensitive teeth, but the brutal truth is that your daily foaming toothpaste created the hypersensitivity in the first place. But the aesthetic damage of yellow teeth and the physical pain of sensitivity are just the surface-level consequences. The real life-threatening catastrophe is biological and microbiological. By routinely stripping away the mucosal lipid layer, you have effectively laid out a welcoming red carpet for highly destructive, gram-negative anaerobic bacteria. These are specific, highly pathogenic microorganisms that thrive exclusively in oxygen-deprived environments. Once your natural lipid barrier is dissolved, they rapidly latch on to the raw, exposed tissue of your gums. They colonize the microscopic, dark crevices along your gum line and immediately begin a relentless feeding frenzy. What are they eating? They are feeding on your dead mucosal cells, microscopic food debris, and the very structural protein collagen that holds your gum tissue together. The most terrifying part is their metabolic byproduct. As these gram-negative anaerobes consume your tissue, they excrete waste. This bacterial waste comes in the form of volatile sulfur compounds, or VSCs. Specifically, they produce hydrogen sulfide, which is the exact chemical responsible for the smell of rotten eggs, methyl mercaptan, which carries the distinct odor of feces, and dimethyl sulfide, which smells like rotting cabbage. These toxic gases do not just sit passively in your mouth. They dissolve into the tiny blood vessels under your tongue, enter your bloodstream, circulate all the way to your lungs, and are forcefully expelled with every single breath you take. When you exhale, you are literally pushing toxic VSCs out of your lungs, generated by the bacterial feeding frenzy happening deep beneath your bleeding gum line. This bacterial invasion is violently accelerated by a secondary, heavily suppressed side effect of that chemical foam. Look closely at the soft, pink tissue pooling under your tongue and lining the insides of your cheeks. Housed deep within these tissues are microscopic, cluster-like structures called acinar cells. These are the biological, mechanical pumps responsible for manufacturing and secreting your saliva. Saliva is not merely water. It is a highly complex, slightly alkaline biological fluid packed with calcium, phosphate, and crucial pathogen-destroying antimicrobial enzymes like lysozyme and lactoferrin. It is your mouth's first, last, and only natural defense system, biologically designed to continuously wash away toxic pathogens and actively remineralize your stripped enamel. When industrial detergents like SLS forcefully coat these delicate tissues, they act as a severe chemical desiccant. The synthetic surfactant physically paralyzes the acinar cells. The biological pumps seize up and shut down completely. Your natural salivary flow drops by an alarming percentage within minutes of brushing. This is the exact physiological phenomenon known as morning dry mouth. You are not just thirsty, you are effectively experiencing a chemically induced, localized biological drought. Without the constant washing flow of saliva, the critical lysozyme enzymes completely disappear from the oral cavity. The delicate pH balance of your mouth plummets instantly, transitioning from a healthy, oxygen-rich, alkaline state into a highly acidic, corrosive environment. In this acidic wasteland, the natural equilibrium of your oral microbiome undergoes a total systemic collapse. The beneficial aerobic bacteria, the ones that require oxygen and a neutral pH to survive and keep your breath fresh, suffocate and die off en masse. Meanwhile, the gram-negative anaerobes, sensing the sudden lack of oxygen and the severe drop in pH, explode in population. But they do not just float around freely in your saliva, waiting to be rinsed away. They are far more intelligent. They immediately begin to construct a microscopic, impenetrable fortress, known in microbiology as a biofilm. You must understand that a biofilm is not the soft, fuzzy white plaque that you can simply brush away with nylon bristles. It is a highly organized, calcified, sticky matrix of extracellular polymeric substances, EPS, essentially a thick, waterproof web of proteins, bacterial waste, and complex sugars that firmly cements itself to your tooth enamel. It slides deep down into the dark, oxygen-starved, periodontal pockets between your teeth and your gums, anchoring itself securely to the root of the tooth. Think of a mature biofilm as a layer of waterproof, biological concrete. Inside this concrete bunker, the bacteria are perfectly protected from oxygen, entirely hidden from your body's immune system white blood cells, and completely immune to the harsh, blue alcohol-based mouthwashes you frantically gargle with. Alcohol simply bounces right off the dense, lipid-rich shield of the biofilm. The bacteria sit safely inside their impenetrable bunker, continuously releasing the lactic acid that slowly dissolves your tooth enamel from the inside out, and constantly emitting the sulfur gases that permanently ruin your breath. You absolutely cannot brush away a mature biofilm. The nylon bristles of your toothbrush are simply too massive and too blunt. Dragging a standard toothbrush over a calcified biofilm is like trying to sweep away a thick layer of hardened, dried asphalt with a soft, plastic broom. You are only scratching the superficial surface, removing loose food debris, while the structural integrity of the deep bacterial colony remains 100% intact. So we arrive at the ultimate biological paradox. If chemical foam strips your natural defenses, creates an acidic wasteland, and mechanical brushing cannot possibly break a calcified biofilm, what is the actual biological solution? How do you extract anaerobic bacteria from a 5 millimeter deep pocket beneath your bleeding gums? The answer does not lie in modern chemical laboratories, and it certainly does not come squeezed out of a plastic tube. It lies in a highly precise, physical, biochemical process called saponification, triggered by a specific ancient dietary lipid. Forget the harsh scrubbing, forget the searing alcohol burns that dry out your tissue. If you want to systematically dismantle a biofilm fortress and physically pull the anaerobic bacteria out from underneath your gums without destroying your own cellular tissue, you need to understand the complex molecular structure of cold-pressed sesame oil. This is not a trendy holistic folk remedy. It is hard, verifiable biochemistry. Sesame oil is an incredibly dense, heavy liquid packed with two highly active, specific organic compounds, linoleic acid and an extremely powerful antioxidant lignin called sesamin. These are complex polyunsaturated fatty acids. When you place a tablespoon of this thick lipid into your mouth, it initially does absolutely nothing. It just sits on your tongue as a heavy, viscous golden oil. The biological magic only begins when you start the mechanical, physical action of pulling, actively swishing, sucking, and forcefully pushing the oil through the tight interdental spaces between your teeth and along your inflamed gum line. As you swish, the intense physical friction forces the oil to mix with the small amount of saliva left in your mouth. Remember, your saliva, when healthy, contains natural bicarbonates. It is slightly alkaline. When the weak alkaline environment of your saliva meets the dense fatty acids of the sesame oil under the immense hydrostatic pressure of your swishing cheeks, a fascinating chemical reaction is forcibly triggered. Saponification. Yes, saponification. The exact same foundational chemical process utilized for centuries to manufacture soap. But this is absolutely not an industrial, tissue-stripping detergent forming in your mouth. This is a biologically compatible, microscopic, and highly targeted soap forming directly on the surface of your teeth and beneath your gum line. As the sesame oil rapidly saponifies under the hydrostatic pressure of your cheek muscles, its physical viscosity fundamentally changes. It transforms from a thick, heavy golden liquid into a thin, watery, milky white emulsion. This milky emulsion now acts as a massive biological lipophilic magnet. Recall the fundamental biochemical principle of like dissolves like. The impenetrable biofilm fortress that protects the sulfur-producing, enamel-eating bacteria is largely composed of a highly complex, sticky lipid matrix. The water in your saliva cannot penetrate a lipid matrix. The synthetic water-based chemicals in your alcohol mouthwash violently bounce right off it. But the lipid-based, newly saponified sesame oil emulsion seamlessly merges with the lipid-based bacterial biofilm. It does not burn the delicate mucosal tissue. It does not destroy the saliva-producing acinar cells. It simply dissolves the structural integrity of the bacterial fortress from the outside in. The linoleic acid easily penetrates the weakened biofilm, grabs physical hold of the lipid membranes of the gram-negative anaerobic bacteria, the decaying cellular debris, and the trapped rotting food particles, and violently pulls them into the liquid oil suspension. Simultaneously, the sesamin, acting as a fiercely powerful botanical antioxidant, immediately begins neutralizing the free radicals and chemically binding to the volatile sulfur compounds. It literally suffocates the hydrogen sulfide gases, instantly cutting off the source of your halitosis at the molecular level. This profound extraction process strictly requires time. You cannot frantically swish for 30 seconds and expect a biological miracle. The complex saponification process and the subsequent microscopic lipid exchange mechanism take approximately 10 to 15 full minutes to fundamentally dismantle a mature calcified biofilm. During these critical minutes, the emulsified oil is actively operating as a vacuum, pulling deeply embedded toxins from the 4 or 5 millimeter deep periodontal pockets where no toothbrush bristle could ever possibly reach. By the time the timer rings, that single tablespoon of oil is completely saturated with millions of toxic, gram-negative bacteria, the acidic waste that was actively dissolving your enamel, and the sulfur compounds that ruined your breath. The oil transforms into highly concentrated liquid biological waste. This is where the absolute law of physical elimination and bodily autonomy comes into play. Your human biology was never designed or evolved to tolerate a daily, relentless influx of industrial foaming agents. Your dental enamel has a strict biological limit. Your salivary glands have a strict physiological limit. If you stubbornly continue to paralyze your mouth's natural defense systems with synthetic detergents just to feel squeaky clean, your gums will inevitably recede, your jawbone will suffer micro loss, and your teeth will inevitably become yellow, porous, and terrifyingly brittle. The choice is entirely yours. You can continue to chase a completely false, chemically induced sense of cleanliness by stripping your mouth bare with SLS, or you can begin to work intelligently with your own biology. Tomorrow morning, the exact moment you wake up, do not reach for the chemical foam. Before you consume a single bite of food, before you even drink a sip of water, take exactly 1 tablespoon of pure, cold-pressed sesame oil. Put it directly into your unwashed mouth. Set a physical timer for exactly 10 minutes. Force it through your teeth. Pull it back and forth. Feel the physical transformation as it changes from thick oil to a thin, milky emulsion. Let the biochemical saponification process do the heavy, microscopic lifting. When the timer finally goes off, spit the highly toxic, milky liquid directly into the trash can, never into your sink, or the lipid matrix will solidify and severely clog your plumbing. Rinse your mouth thoroughly with warm water to flush away the remaining debris, and then, if you must, brush gently with a non-foaming, completely fluoride-free paste. Commit to this exact biological protocol for just 7 consecutive days. Watch the dull, yellowish-gray hue slowly fade from your teeth as your enamel finally stops absorbing foreign pigments. Notice the bitter metallic taste disappear completely as your acinar cells and salivary glands wake up from their chemical coma. But most importantly, feel the dense pink firmness physically return to your receding gums and experience the complete, total absence of that morning sulfur smell. Biology has already provided you with the perfect, most powerful mechanism to clean your mouth. It is time you finally started using it.